According to recent statistics, if a person is asked if the United States is currently in a recession, there is a high likelihood that they will say yes. Historically, recessions have been defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, and this occurred in the United States in 2022. However, the Biden administration proposed changing the definition of a recession rather than taking action to improve the economy. Despite this, media outlets have reported that the country is on the brink of a recession, if not already in one. Furthermore, financial institutions, such as JP Chase, are showing signs of potential collapse in the near future. Chase's CEO, Jamie Dimon, recently made predictions for the upcoming year, stating that 2023 will be a difficult year for the economy and even potentially leading to the downfall of the bank. The Federal Reserve is expected to continue increasing interest rates up to around 5% and then maintain that rate in an effort to decrease inflation and stabilize prices. This is known as the terminal rate and is a significant consideration for investors. Currently, the estimated terminal rate from the Federal Reserve is 5.1%, with current rates at 4.375%, indicating that there is not much room for further increases. Many investors believe that this signals the end of a hawkish Federal Reserve and that the economy will recover and stock prices will increase as a result. However, these predictions by Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Chase, suggest that this may not be enough to curb inflation and that it may even increase. He also suggests that consumer savings may play a role in the current economic stability, as people have been spending more of their savings due to high inflation. He believes that this trend will not be sustainable in the long run and may cause a recession in the near future. The current personal savings rate in the U.S. is the lowest it has been since 2005, just before the global financial crisis. When consumer savings run out, the economy will crash. The Federal Reserve is expecting the economy to slow down gradually as they raise interest rates, but economist Dimon predicts that it will not slow down until it drops off a cliff. He believes that the Fed will raise rates to about 5% and wait for a few months for the effects to take place, but inflation will remain high as people's savings accounts deplete. The Fed may then feel compelled to start a second round of rate hikes, moving up to 7, 8, or even 9%. At this point, consumers will have exhausted their savings built up over the last 5 years, and consumer spending will suddenly drop off, causing the economy to crash. High interest rates, already at their highest level in 40 years, will make the situation even worse, and the recession will evolve into a depression similar to the Great Depression of the 1930s. Dimon is also expecting other problems to occur. Geopolitical tensions have been escalating in recent times, as seen in the conflicts between Ukraine and Russia, Taiwan and China. Additionally, there have been several humanitarian crises. Europe has not experienced a war like this since 1945, and it was believed that such a war would never happen again. Many emerging market countries are likely to suffer significant economic consequences due to the strong dollar, higher rates, and higher oil prices. Jamie Dimon, who has spent the last 20 years growing and expanding the world's largest bank, expresses his concern about the next year and predicts that everything is going to fall apart. This is not good news coming from someone who is considered to be an expert in the field. Jamie Dimon is not addressing how the current global turmoil will impact his business, which is a concern for independent analysts trying to understand the situation. Christopher Wallen, who runs a global advisory firm, suggests that the estimated $2.2 trillion in capital held by banks worldwide is actually worth a fraction of that amount. When the true values of these assets are taken into account, they are practically worthless. Christopher doesn't take into account tangible equity, including the value of goodwill and deferred assets, and instead focuses on book equity, which reduces the $2.2 trillion of capital to just under $1.5 trillion. He also noticed that some bonds and assets now provide negative returns to investors, and that banks haven't updated their values on their books, bringing the $1.5 trillion down to just over $1.2 trillion. Additionally, he takes into account assets that have lost market value over the last few years, such as Tesla stock, which has fallen 69% over the course of 2022, and uses their current market valuations instead of the valuations that these banks would like them to have. The $1.2 trillion has been further reduced by $1.7 trillion to negative $500 billion, resulting in banks worldwide facing insolvency if they were using this more transparent and straightforward way of valuing assets. Additionally, losses that these banks have taken according to current market prices on their holdings of U.S. Treasury securities further reduces the number by another $800 billion, putting banks worldwide in a $1.3 trillion shortfall at the end of the second quarter of 2022. The market conditions are currently worse than they were in mid-2022, which means that the situation might be even worse than this analyst suggests. Banks are not required to mark their asset values to current market values, so this $2 trillion loss is not recognized by any bank. However, if banks find themselves in trouble or try to sell their assets, then this $1.3 trillion hole would be recognized at least at current market value. In particular, Christopher looked at JP Morgan, and he estimates that the bank is $58 billion underwater, which might explain why Jamie Dimon is refusing to talk about how this predicted economic collapse will impact his business. The situation in the current economic downturn could be worse than what was seen during the 2008 global financial crisis, where banks like Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns collapsed outright, and many others needed a bailout from taxpayers. Back then, the bubble was limited to housing prices and mortgage assets, but in the post-COVID economy, bubbles have emerged in almost every area. Real estate prices have risen significantly over the course of 2 years. Tech stocks have exploded in value even when they had no path to profitability. Crypto and NFTs have gone from not existing to being worth multiple trillions of dollars. And even car prices have surged along with luxury items like Rolex watches. Our economies have gone insane as money printers were turned on all over the globe, and we are now reaping the consequences. It is unclear what will happen next, but it is important to note that crashes don't happen overnight. Recessions and depressions are usually the result of a gradual buildup of problems, and not just a single event. The global financial crisis saw stocks peak in mid-2007, and they kept falling until early 2009, a year and a half later. Similarly, the Great Depression lasted for 6 years, but many people expect the current economic downturn caused by the COVID-19 pandemic to be resolved quickly. However, this is not the case, and the crash of 2022 has proven that. The bear market is likely to last for 6 more months. A more pragmatic prediction says 12 to 18 months, and a pessimistic one says we have 2 or more years of stocks falling steadily but slowly. There will be bad days and good days along the way, but the trend will be downwards. To protect ourselves during this time, it is important to pay attention to the market and not to be swayed by fear and greed. Market peaks are often marked by euphoria and the belief that there will never be another market crash, while market lows are marked by apathy and total pessimism, the belief that it is impossible to make money investing again. It is important to not give up on investments when they are losing value and to pay attention to the market. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.